Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the chili chica herself, Sandy Reevy, with the cold.
I've got it on the stove.
It is episode 331, week of November 25th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, today, Monday the 25th, Mercury stations retrograde.
Yeah, journal your travels. He's at 22 degrees of Sagittarius.
And November 27th, Wednesday, Sun trine Mars.
He's stationing retrograde too, pretty soon.
December 1st, Sunday, new moon at 9 degrees Sagittarius.
I believe I can.
Then on the horizon, we have our astrology forecast, a webinar, and of course, our Mexico retreat. And in our house, we have a very special guest. All about our Mexico retreat, our special guest, Christine Flowers. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one, you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you.
Hello, Chili Chica.
I do. I've been wanting Cincinnati chili. Although this time I'm making it with ground turkey.
This is so funny because that's not even what I meant to say. Just because I was like, oh, well, chili chica, because I was trying to figure out a way to say that you have a cold, but it actually worked out way better than I imagined because you are cooking some Skyline chili.
I am.
And coming over tonight.
Yeah, and I'm bringing it with me.
Yum. So excited. So let's move into the transits. November 25th, Monday today. This is Mercury stations retrograde at 22 degrees of Sagittarius.
Yeah, this starts at about 8:42 p.m. Chicago time. And, Mercury retrograde, he wants to write. He wants to, put things down that he's thinking. The RE, the review, the writing, the reading. So he's in Sagittarius, though. He's in a place that is about, freedom, about travels. So maybe you're making plans for more. Maybe you're making plans for travel. Vision your wishes. So he goes retrograde at 22 degrees and goes all the way back to 8 Sagittarius. And he does that. He gets back to 8 on December 14th. So, he'll be just coming out of his retrograde and shadow right around Christmas time. So, just slow. Maybe you're slowing down your mental thinking. You're kind of going into vacation world a little bit early.
Yeah, the holiday mindset. Wonderful. So let's move on to Wednesday, November 27th, Sun trine Mars.
Yeah, that, the sun is in a fire sign of Sagittarius and the Mars is in a fire sign of Leo. So they're meeting together in a trine at 5 degrees. So Mars is planning on stationing retrograde. Mars doesn't go retrograde very often. He's the planet that goes least amount. He goes retrograde about once every 25 months. So he is preparing to retrograde December 6th. And Susan and I have a webinar on that, the area that he's going to be going retrograde, because he's going to be crossing into two signs. He's going to retrograde at 6 degrees of the fire sign of Leo, but then he goes all the way back to 17 of Cancer, of the cardinal water sign. So he stays retrograde for a long period of time. So so I'll talk about that when he is retrograde, but he doesn't start retrograding until December 6th. But this is kind of our signal when the sun trines this to be careful what you're moving toward. It's because there's a turn. This is the sun, your action, your view, your interest, your dreams, your aspirations, are meeting up with that action planet of Mars. However, Mars is going to turn backwards. So what are you moving toward? It's not quite time to, it may go through some morphing or some alchemy before you actually do it.
Mm. And there's going to be a full on webinar all about it.
Yeah.
So perfect. So the final transit of the week is Sunday, December 1st. Happy December, everybody. And we started off with a new moon at 9 degrees of Sag.
Yeah, and this is boom. As soon as the day turns, the night turns into day at 12:21 a.m. This is Chicago time. The sun and the moon make that conjunction, and we get a new moon. Now, remember, the moon is with the sun, so there's no light. 9 degrees Sagittarius. So we think, what rules Sagittarius? Well, it's Jupiter. So we have to go look at, Jupiter is opposite in the opposite placement of Gemini, retrograde. So there's this feeling of I believe, I trust. Just I'm ready for the experiences. However, we then go in, then we continue to look further at this chart, and we see a square from Saturn, pretty tight square from Saturn in coming from Pisces, the other placement that is ruled by Jupiter. So this is that I believe I can. This, the Saturn is in Jupiter sign. That may give us the more slow signal because Jupiter's in detriment and retrograde. So be cautious to make solid plans because you need to stand behind them. You're going to want to stand on them, stand behind them. So just be aware that some things could change in your planning.
Okay.
Or they're slow to get
right.
to get moving.
Right. But believe in yourself and know that you can push through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I believe I can. I trust that I can. Yes, I can.
Think I can.
I think I can. Yeah.
All right. Everybody, don't forget that you can follow along with these transits personally if you download your natal chart on our website, intentionbeads.com/chart. Then any of this 9 degrees of Sagittarius or 22 degrees of Sagittarius, you can notice what planets you have in those degrees and in those signs. So let's move on to the horizon where we've just finished up and posted up our December astrology forecast and cheat sheet. So that's for all of our Big Dipper and above tiers. If you are interested in joining just for $5 a month for the Little Dipper, you can get that December astrology forecast at the first of the month on December 1st. Let's see. Also, December 4th, Sandy and Susan are coming together to do the webinar all about Mars retrograde. So if you are interested, you do need to be a Patreon member, and you can sign up at patreon.com/chattingwiththestars. Let's move on to our final on the horizon piece, which is, of course, January 4th to the 11th. This is our 2025 Mexico retreat. This is how many years in a row?
9.
9 years going to Casa Tara retreat. They have expanded 3 times the size of when we first started, which it is very intimate. It is very small, but now it's 3 times the size. It's getting bigger and bigger. The food there is wonderful. The views, you're right on the bluff of the, why am I blanking on the name?
The Sea of Cortez.
The Sea of Cortez, where you get a beautiful breeze from there. You get to see the kite surfers and all of their colorful kites just floating across you.
And don't forget that I'll be out there with the sup board in the morning.
Right? Yeah. And okay, so We have a lot to talk about with the Mexico retreat. It is the basics of astrology and human design. So we're bringing together these two modalities. And we have a very special guest that we're bringing into our next segment, which is our house. And it's Christine Flowers. She is the human design part of the retreat. And we're blending what it is to kind of study astrology and what it is to study human design and how they interact and what they can teach us about our chart. And I am the guinea pig. So without further ado, let's get into our house. In our house, we're going to bring in a special guest in a minute. I really just wanted to give a little rundown of what's going on with the Mexico retreat happening January 4th through the 11th. It's going to be a dualistic, a combining of dualities of these really amazing tools, spiritual tools, both astrology and human design. So we have a very special guest, our special guest for the Mexico retreat here with us, Christine Flowers. Welcome in again.
Hey, Christine. I'm so excited.
So I want to basically be the guinea pig. I'm not going to be at the Mexico retreat this year, but I want to at least get a little bit of a morsel so that I can get some of the wonderful ancient knowledge that you both have for me. And also so people get a sneak peek of what you're going to be discussing and talking about during the retreat. So a little bit, give me a rundown of overall, like the theme. How does astrology and human design kind of come together? And I'll throw this question to Sandy.
Well, what we're going to do during this retreat is multiple things. Like you said, the dualities. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. But one of the ones we want to kind of throw at everyone now is how we are going to bring the Saturn and the Jupiter, the two planets, the Saturn that is the teacher, he's the limiter, he makes us focus on things. And then Jupiter is the planet of abundance and optimism and, permitting many opportunities. So these are two societal planets that do different things. They almost do the opposite things, but how they work together. And so I look at everyone's Saturn and Jupiter in their chart and watch the transits. And Christine is looking at the conscious and the unconscious, right, of Saturn and Jupiter.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what those do in regards to the human design chart.
So we have, two sets of planets. We have a conscious, something we're more conscious of. It's called our personality, those gates. And they're all associated with a planet. And then we have a more unconscious one, which is called our design planets, our design gates. And so we have two Saturns, two things, your sort of life lessons that you need to learn. And they come up during the first Saturn return and the second one. And as you work through these, you will receive your blessings of your Jupiter planets. So that's how it works there.
That is really cool because it very much mimics the ideals of astrology, where Saturn is the limiter, Saturn is like the boundary. But once we can either push past the boundary or really like learn more about how to utilize Saturn, maybe even to build and cross over these limits or build all the way up to a higher plane of Jupiter and have this more abundant, more eagle eye view of things.
Yeah, so, and it's to get confirmation, like, oh, look at that. I'm not reacting to my Saturn gates. I'm now reacting to Jupiter. I mean, it's not super apparent, but eventually you start to see the patterns that you learn and that you have more and more control of. This is how I want to react. I don't want to react this way anymore. This isn't me. So it's a nice confirmation.
Right. And it's such a great tool because when we have the duality of Saturn, Jupiter, that dance between like, really being like material versus airy and thought provoking, or the, the brake pedal versus the gas pedal. We need both, right?
Yeah.
So, Mom, if you could tell me a little bit about well, we'll switch over to me. Let's talk about what I have astrologically and in human design. So I want to kind of teeter these and level these off a little bit. So tell me about what is happening with Saturn and Jupiter in the astrological sense.
Well, in your chart, you have Saturn in Capricorn. And so natally, Saturn in Capricorn is very astute, has all the earthly goods to be constructive, be productive, be ambitious. The Saturn in Capricorn is in his rulership. So this holds a lot of wealth or worth over time. But again, it's over time. It's Saturn. He's the timekeeper. What do you have for Alex as far as human design?
So her personality, which is something she's more conscious, it's in gate 10, which is the gate of self-love. So learning to love herself. She's also, gate 10, line 4. So this is a stabilizing energy. So the challenge is she needs to learn to love herself and take responsibility for what she creates. Mastery, to see love for yourself is the source of your power, right? The source of your creative power. The more you love, the more you're going to allow yourself to move into that creative spot and trust it more. So there's always 3 things in human design. So the unbalanced is to question your lovability and struggle to prove your love worthiness, to settle for less than you deserve. We get frustrated. And so we can blame others for circumstances. So in the sort of darker side, it can be like victimhood and blaming.
Right.
So, and also in the chart, you have other things, like you have a defined G center, which is a fixed sort of energy. And you're not going to change much. So you have a fear of not being loved who you are. You have to be something else to be loved. And so all these different things kind of go into it. But when you master this, right, when you stop struggling your lovability, when you know that you're the pure source of your own creative power, and learn to love yourself and take responsibility and act at the right time, you move into that Jupiter. So do you want me to go, or do you want to go to Jupiter, Sandy?
Well, make a comment then, Alex, on that Saturn.
Right. And so and this is so interesting because the Saturn in Capricorn, the astrological, it does seem like I have so many desires and wants to ascend and progress and get better and do all of these things. And where sometimes I can struggle with that is, wait a minute, I want all of these things, and where currently am I? And that difference that I can notice can be like, oh, well, I'm not doing it right. I must be terrible at this. And then it all comes, kind of like at least like toppling down a little bit on top of me, like if it's just like overwhelm, or, I can't do everything and those types of things. But it is such a really interesting way to just focus in on the self-love, but balance that with and utilize my gifts, right? Utilize the gifts that Capricorn wants me to keep going and keep ascending and keep progressing. But don't forget to carry that on my back as I go, my self-love and my willingness to take responsibility for the things that I do and don't do, or I do right or don't do right. So super interesting. So interesting. So let's move on to okay, so we got like kind of this idea of this Saturn and this disciplinarian that I have internally. Christine.
Okay, one more thing. So also your profile is 6-3. So that 3 is the experimenter and explorer. And some of those things you need to remember is you cannot make a mistake. Everything is about learning for you, and then you can go and show us and teach us. So I don't want you to, like when you're thinking, oh, I wasted time, say, oh, I learned, and this is something that I can give to the world, and say, hey, we have to be patient with ourselves. We have to be loving to ourselves. There are no mistakes for this explorer type that you are.
Mm.
Wow.
I like that.
Oh my gosh, Alex. I mean, how many times have in our work life or even our personal life where when you're set on learning something, I'm like, come on, that was 2 hours ago. Are you done yet? You're like, no, I'm still searching. I'm still researching, finding new ways, new activities, new pathways. And you always come out with something. And you can kind of do this is better than that because I've done the research. I've done all of the experimentation.
And remember, you want to do things fast and skip steps, where your mom and I like to do it step by step.
You just hurry and get it done. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
can we move on to Jupiter?
Yeah, let's talk about Jupiter. Now, so give just an idea about Jupiter too.
Yeah. So your Jupiter's direct. It's in Aries. Jupiter's in the 12th house. It's actually making a trine, out of sign trine to your Saturn. So Jupiter's with Venus. So this is kind of the plus. The two benefics are together in the 12th house. So the 12th house does say you have gifts, but that might be under a bushel basket, right? They may be hidden, but you have them. They're in Aries, so that you want to initiate, you want to put things out, you want to start things. But then there's this feeling of, oh, I don't know if I'm ready yet, or I don't want to show everything, which, is one reason why I do push you in front of crowds, because you have it. What does her personality Jupiter say, Christine?
So her conscious Jupiter is in 3.3, which is the gate of innovation. There's a couple things too. So it's learning to trust in divine timing and to know that your ideas and insights will be transmitted to the world when the world is ready. Right. So, and not judge yourself. A lot of what we do is timing. And sometimes when we think we're done with something, we go, here, I'm done. But you have to feel the timing. Are you being asked for this idea or thought? Are you, does it feel right? Check in and make sure, is this the right timing? Let's see. The mastery is to the ability to embrace and integrate new ideas and ways of doing things, concentrated energy to establish a pattern. And this all sounds kind of Aries, right?
It does.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah. Appreciate your own unique timing and being, trusting that you're an innovator on the leading edge of consciousness. And that's Aries.
Yeah.
The unbalance is to feel pressure and panic to share an idea or innovation and to burn yourself out trying to override divine timing. And you do have trying to override divine timing in other places in your chart, which is interesting.
That is funny.
I've always said that Alex comes up with ideas before their time.
Yeah.
Before their time. In fact, the universe is not ready for them, right? But sometimes when the universe is ready, boom, Alex is there because she's already done the homework.
Right.
So it's almost like that innovator in her with all that Aries energy. I do totally see how that works, Christine, because that what you just said about she feels pressure and panic to share an idea or innovative is that 12th house the Jupiter in Aries, I've got ideas. I got to move this forward. I'm innovating. Let's go. But oh my gosh, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Oh my gosh, I don't want to upset anybody's apple cart. Right.
And it could and so
it's,
I guess
talking about
you. One thing that I do notice is that I can do I can do things like run, burn out, need to recuperate, run, burn out, need to recuperate.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a lot of my Jupiter in Aries needing to hurry up and just try and get it done as soon as possible so that I can call it done. But that is interesting how it also balances a bit for me to say, all right, just trust in the divine timing. I'm still going to want to get things done quickly. I'm still going to want to, really go all out. But trusting in that divine timing, I think, is going to be really peaceful, a really great way for me to calm down and not feel that sense of burnout or sense of burning the rubber to the pavement.
Yeah, I like what Christine said about appreciate your own unique thinking, right? And sometimes just being somewhere brings light to others, right? Kind of like that's again that Jupiter in Aries in the 12th house, kind of like your persona is important to others. You can bring the light into the dark.
So burnout, there's a lot of burnout. So you're in your human design chart, your conscious moon, and in human design, our moon supports our earth, right? Our earth is kind of how the world sees us. And I think this is the same. The moon is how we feel inside, but you need to take the qualities of your moon so that you can, gain the benefits of that earth, which I completely ignored because I'm supposed to be quiet and meditate all the time. I don't. I'm getting better. But so your earth is in 40, which it's called restoration, but it's really a huge need for alone time. And to pull back. To retreat is a way of replenishing your inner and outer resources so you can bring your renewed self back. And sometimes I don't know if you've have a huge to-do list and you're getting grumpy and anxious and nothing is flowing and you can't write and you go away. And then all of a sudden, maybe the next day, the timing's perfect and you get it done in 10 minutes. So,
yeah, that can happen for sure. And I think also when you mentioned the moon and bringing that in astrologically, I have a Leo moon, which I have noticed the Leo moon, if I make something a little bit more fun and adventurous and maybe a little bit more risky, it does help allow me to tackle problems that are maybe a little bit scarier or intimidating or overwhelming for me, where I can be like, okay, I'm just going to make this be fun. I'm going to do this as fun. And two, and I also think it's a kind of sign of my age a little bit more, but being 36, I'm so much more in love with my alone time and being in this space of, I guess, a little bit more of that earth regeneration, of giving a little bit more pause than I have in the past.
yeah,
I think I know I'm also your mother, and I know that it's through your life, sleep was your best friend. And that was one time when you can be alone, right? Like when you can go into that Bardo state and you slept a lot. And now that you're older and you've got responsibilities and duties and, and things, you're finding that quiet time, where you don't need to sleep as much, but you have quiet time. or restorative.
Yeah, it is restorative. Like, it's retreating from community and stimulus to restore and restock yourself so that you can come back renewed.
It's interesting because, yes, she has a moon in Leo, but her moon is in the 4th house of home, the 4th house of personal space, the 4th house of I'm going into my internal world, right? 4th house, right? So, very interesting that so far, that Saturn, that Jupiter, and that moon are all linking up with your astrology chart, your horoscope, with, of course, with the human design. So this is a little bit of what we're going to be doing comparisons.
It'll preview. It's really cool. And if there's anything that I can kind of say, at least to where it fits within me, I feel like astrology really highlights a lot of like gifts that I have that I didn't necessarily develop, that I just kind of had. And then human design is really giving me a moment to really pause and think about where I currently am, where I am also evolving into, and just really, really interesting. I love it. So thank you both for chatting about this. And I got my Mexico retreat fill as much as I could. And remember, everybody, registration is open. We would love for you to join. I can answer whatever questions you have, or you have a free 15-minute call with Sandy. But Sandy and Christine are going to be there facilitating, and it's going to be very cool. A very surprise quick mention is that there is a brand new resort that they have been building for years on this retreat location, and we are going to be the inaugural group. So,
can you believe it, Christine?
I mean, weren't you the first at the older building? Weren't you the first group?
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes, and we laughed about it last year because you were there 2 years ago, right? And last year they were still doing some of the, finishing up touches, and she said, "Oh, wouldn't this be funny if it's available and ready to inhabit in January when you come?" And we were laughing at it, and she says, "No, it's really due to be done sooner than that." I just got a text message literally 2 days ago as Alex and I were getting ready for the podcast, and she said, "I would love to be the first group to move into the luxurious rooms." And she only has 8 rooms there, and it's our own pool, and it's our own shala. We'll use the restaurant, right there, because it's right there. They're linked
right next door.
We have our own beach. We have our own walkway down to the water. So, oh my gosh!
I'm reminding you, Sandy, that you planted that seed 2 years ago. Wouldn't it be great if?
Yes. Remember when I said that? And it's coming through. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So really, and again, this Marcella Casatara yoga retreat and spa she is just growing. There's just waiting lists. She does retreat after retreat after retreat. And luckily I'm grandmothered. I'm a grandmother over there. Nowhere else that I can get always that first Saturday of the year, which is a perfect time to get the hell away, right? From all the stuff that we've been responsible for at the end of the year. It's a great recharge. And so I'm super excited to introduce you and all of your expertise of human design to our lesson, our package, and having people understand new techniques and new tools.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening in for another episode of Astrological Intentions. And we will see you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one, you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute. minute, jump in the river, wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story.